So one of the questions I've gotten from people is, how do you deal with broken deals? I just finished talking about one studio. I had two broken deals with them, deals that fell apart. And it's difficult. It's definitely not fun. Luckily I'm the ultimate optimist, probably too much so. I can't stop trying new things. And look, I've closed a lot of deals, so obviously I know it can happen. But believe it or not, that doesn't make when one falls apart any easier to deal with. In fact, my wife has a hard time with it. She doesn't like the ups and downs of it. She has a harder time dealing with the loss. So she's actually asked me to stop telling her when I have a potential deal. Until the check is in the hand, we don't talk about it anymore. I don't want to make anything any tougher on her.
So I love this project, and we've gotten a lot of interest in this project. It has been such a roller coaster. And especially, in the early days when we got interest from Caxton in Mexico, twice. And it seems like everything's a go. Everybody's on board, everybody's excited, Mark and I are excited, and then nothing. Things just kind of drag along and peter out, and we realize, wow, this is just not going to happen. With everybody's good intention or whatever is happening, it's just not going to happen. So, and I take it hard. I've learned over time not to take it personally, but that part of this business, especially the part of pitching your show, you have to really keep your optimism up and really believe in your project and keep pushing it forward in whatever way you can, and just know that you're going to get a lot of no's. That's just the reality. It just takes one yes. Now, it just so happens we've had a lot of yeses. And we've had to just pick ourselves up and say, okay, what's next? How else? What else can we do? How else can we get it out there? And really, Mark has a much better emotional constitution for that kind of thing. I really do kind of let it get to me. It takes me a little bit more to recover. But because I do love the project, and I know that it would be a big hit if we can just get it out there. So we keep plugging away and we keep at it. You must to succeed in this business, you must have that quality of eternal optimism and persistence.
But it's interesting when you have those kind of discussions, because it's so fantastic, and I want to share when it looks like I've got interest. But I do have to be fair to her and not get her hopes up, because we both know that more deals fall apart than actually happen. It's just part of the industry. But the only guarantee you have of failure is stopping. So, and I don't, which is also why I've been able to close a number of deals. It's funny, and I try not to share too much with Ed, because, he's in another country. We don't talk that often. I let him know a little bit that, I'm still working on it and things are still moving. Like, he's thrilled now that we're moving into production on a short. So I'm keeping him up on things like that and letting him know what some possibilities are. But I try not to get his hopes up too much either. What have been your thoughts over the years? Like when we had that really close deal with the Mexican studio, and then obviously that fell apart. What were you kind of going through? Because you were kind of long distance, with just kind of hearing through us what was happening. What do you remember?
Sure. Well, by that time, I've been working in the industry. So since graduating school, I've gone on to do different development deals, production deals with some pretty big studios. So I know what it's like to have things tied up. So by that point in time, it's kind of comes down to trust, and you don't trust in the actual, okay, this deal is done. You trust in the process, and then you trust in people on your team. So I had this tremendous trust with you built up over the years. There's this sort of trust equity. So I was able to kind of put it out of sight, out of mind, and not get my hopes too much into it, because I had learned you can get pretty disappointed, in this industry. Any entertainment production concept, this and that. It's I always describe it as the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules,
Yeah.
and that's usually the producers and the studios and the people with the money, right? So I just kind of put it aside. I told some people and I said, man, this could be super cool. I was hopeful about it, but then I just said, you know what, Mark's got this and he's going to let me know when he needs to let me know. And that way, that's a way that you just kind of handle the emotional roller coaster, the potential emotional roller coaster, because I've been on it before and I've been
Yeah.
disappointed. So that's pretty much, how I did. And you were really great in the way that you communicated things. And so that was the way that I handled it all the way up here.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were times there was some of that. It was hard for me because being in the thick of it, and you've been in the thick of it on other projects. Man, it can be freaking devastating when I had the freaking contracts in my hand, and then all of a sudden, poof, just
Yeah.
crap. So, but when you believe in something, you just got to keep kicking. You just got to keep trying.
Well, if I can add one thing,
Yeah,
one of the things I really appreciate about working with you is that, you don't blow smoke and sunshine. So you're not coming to me like you weren't calling me every week going, I think I got a deal and I think I got this. You would be pretty even about it and say, because I know this isn't your first rodeo, right?
yeah.
So you would be like, okay, we might have this potential. I'll let you know. And so when you tell me and you contact me and say, I've got a deal on paper, I know you've got a deal on paper. I'm not sitting in the back of my mind because I know some other producers, they'll just constantly hype you up and sort of get you excited. But I knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, no, this is a real thing. And so that helped a lot handling the
Mm.
the rejection or the disappointment or different things that occur naturally as part of this whole creative process.
Well, good. I didn't want to see you go through as much as I was going through. May not even know for a while that something fell apart instantly. Of course, half the time when something falls apart, I don't even know. You're just waiting for the phone call that never comes. Again, it's like that horrible aspect of dating. Is she going to call? Isn't she going to call? Ugh. I know there's going to be more. There always is. But luckily I've been in production long enough. It's been over 30 years now I've been in production. I mean, I've worked on a lot of great movies, a lot of great TV series. I've seen my things on air and I've seen things fall apart before the contract is signed. I mean, I had one project years ago. It was with Fox Family, and it was for my Timmy's Lesson Nature series. And they had actually flown out. One of the execs had flown out to my studio and offered me a contract. And before we could finalize the contract, Disney bought Fox Family, turned into Disney Family Channel, and shelved all the pending contracts. And so, I mean, if they had waited a week longer, I literally would have had that deal finished. So, that kind of crap happens, and it's frustrating. But if you're an optimist, hopefully, you can rise above it and keep going. If you're the kind of person that can't handle that, this would be a tough industry for you. Very, very tough. At least if you're trying to create your own things. It's different if you're working on project to project. But even then, there's you've got promises of starting on a production, and then the production never happens. I've been starting on a prep, and then money falls through on someone else's project, and all of a sudden, you and your crew aren't getting paid, or you have to suspend working in the hopes that money's going to come back. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's just part of the industry. It's not like making widgets where just you start on day one, you keep going. Now, I hope you guys are enjoying all these horror stories, laughing or crying at my expense. But it is fun to be able to share all this with everybody because it's been quite a trip. It's been a long, long road, and we've got a lot more to go on this, and I'm really having a good time sharing it with all of you.